So yes, today is the day, right, where we're going to build an Uber-like application, right? And it's going to be an exciting one. So first of all, I'd like to welcome you all who have joined currently. So you can share the link, encourage your friends to join because we are live and it's going to be exciting. And like you already started doing, I'd like you to engage with me in the comment section. Let me know which country you are coming or joining us from. I've seen Nigeria, I've seen Ghana, I've seen, yeah, basically Nigeria, Ghana. Yes, so we are starting this wonderful event on a good note where we're going to basically earlier I mentioned that we are going to build our own version of the Uber app, basically a ride sharing app, and that is what we are going to do in today's event. I'm so excited. If you're excited, I want to see you commenting in the comment section. You can give me some fire in the comment section. Yes. Okay, great. So it's been exciting organizing you guys for this wonderful event. It hasn't been easy, yes, but one of the interesting things that we were doing for this particular event was to encourage participation, right? That is why I decided to do something crazy in this particular no code event, right? So it's actually okay. I think I'll talk about this thing maybe at the latter part of the live event. So what I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to give you an overview of what we are going to cover in this development. But before then, let me open your eyes a bit into what no-code development is. So no-code development basically has to do with development of applications, mobile apps, web applications, any type of application using no code. So as the term is, you are not going to have to write any lines of code. You don't have to deal with any programming language like the Python, the Java, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, blah 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 blah. All you are just going to do is that you're going to create applications by dragging and dropping and connecting logic and everything in a visual interface, right? And in the era of AI, things has even become so fantastically easy because you don't even need to know how to pull the application together. Once you go to ChatGPT and you tell ChatGPT, I want to build this particular application, give me a guide on how I'm going to build this application. ChatGPT will literally give you a systematic approach by which you can build this application. So building an application has become so easy and accessible in our generation. So it's an opportunity to capitalize upon something like this. That's why I'm excited to help you learn these soft skills. So today, the focus is to introduce you into no code. The focus is to let you basically orient you, empower you to know how to build your own software using no code. So if you're excited already, I want you to interact with me in the comment section. You can drop your questions as we go, and then I'm going to answer them as we go. Great. Now, what are the opportunities with the no-code industry? What are some of the things that you can do in the no-code industry, right? Once you build this skill, you can basically freelance, right? What is freelancing? Freelancing is basically selling yourself or your service to other people. So there are a lot of people who need your services on 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 a demand, right? So you set up your account on, let's say, platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, etc., and you get businesses or people reaching out to you to work with. So they get to employ you to work with them on their project for that specific time schedule, and you get your money, and then you are good to go. One of the things you can also do is you can work with a company. So as the tech industry changes over time, right, companies are looking for efficient ways to execute their jobs, right? A company would be willing to employ somebody who can do the job of 10 people. And this is what no code does for you. It empowers you to do the job of 10 developers. So once you empower yourself with all these skills, you become so valuable such that companies might want to employ you. So this is an interesting opportunity for the youth especially to be able to grasp or learn something from the tech industry. And it's so easy now because the starting curve is really simple. You just jump on a no code platform, you spend a few days learning the platform, and you are good to go. You know how to build a software. So I'm so excited to teach you this thing. And then one more thing you can also do with an experience in the no code industry is to start your own software company. Right. Starting your own software company must not be difficult in 2024, in the coming year 2025. Why? Because all it takes for you to start your own software company is just learning some of these no code tools. Have a fantastic idea, bring it to life with these no code tools. You don't need to go to university to go and learn a computer science program for 4 years. That's how mind-blowing this opportunity is. So you can literally kickstart your software journey in a matter of like few days, right? That's an interesting one over there. Great. So these are some of the opportunities in the no code industry which I like to highlight. So now let's jump right into some of the things that we are going to cover in this project. So in this project, what we are going to focus on is a few aspects of development which has to do with like user authentication, right, sharing interface, and stuff like that. We are also going to learn how to design, right? How to design, that is the front end, how to build this application. And while you build, you get experience, okay, to be able to build other applications because the concept is the same. I'm just using this project as a reference for you to be able to build other applications. So it's interesting, I guess. Yeah, so these are some of the fundamental concepts you'll be learning. You also be learning how to work with APIs because we'll be integrating the Google Maps API in this particular project. And then another thing you're going to also learn is you're going to understand how databases work, right? How to basically connect your database to your front end and your back end and all that. And all these things is going to happen in a visual interface. You are not going to see any coding stuff. Everything is visual, right in your face, drag and drop, stuff like that. It's going to be interesting. So these are the few things that we're going to cover in this lesson. Right, so you can see I have two laptops over here. So I'll be looking on both because I have different things on my screen. So I'll be referencing this for this. Now, we're also going to be using the Babel platform for our development. So very soon I would set you guys up on Babel. So what you can do real quick is you can go to Babel, right? You can go to babel.com and basically register for an account. It's a free account, right? Register for a free account. All right. Yeah, just go to babel.com and register for a free account. I already have an account, so I'm already logged in. So you can see that I'm already logged in. Let me open an incognito browser and basically go to Babel again and walk you guys through the registration process. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so once you come here, you go to get started, right? If you already have an account, you go to login. I already have an account, but I'm creating a new one. So there are two options. You can either sign up with Google, right, from here, or you can enter your email address and your password. So what I do usually is I sign up with Google because it's very easy. So you enter your email address, all right? Enter any email address over here. So my email, right, blah blah blah, sorry, and you basically continue, right? Once you do that, you are going to be brought to let me close out of this. You're going to be brought to this interface where you have apps, you have build guides, you have templates and stuff like that. So already I have 3 apps over here. I've been testing things up already, right? So once you come here, quickly click on create an app because your page will be blank. So you can give your app a name over here. So we're going to give our app, let's call it Ride. Okay, let's call it Uber. No, let's not call it Uber clone. Let's call it my first app. My first. App, yes, because for most of you, it would be your first app, right? So yeah, that's why we're calling it my first app. You can also select a template. So this is so interesting, but for beginners, you don't want to do this, right? But for advanced users, there are a lot of templates in the marketplace that can help you get started with any particular project you are working on. So you have like social network templates, marketplace templates, and stuff like that. But we are going to build ours from scratch, right? So we're going to click on get started. Right. So Bubble, we're not going to activate a free trial. We're just going to stick with the basic features because it's enough for this tutorial. So just click on that and the system creates your application in real time. Great. So you are brought to this wonderful dashboard where you basically see get started on the right foot. Right. So let's just click on next step. You get to basically set your font. I usually use Montserrat, or let me check the font I'm using for this project real quick. I usually use Montserrat or Inter, but I think for this project I'll set it to Montserrat. Let's do Montserrat. Yeah. Let's click on next. So over here you are able to basically set up the colors for the project. Now this is where it gets interesting. So you have like your primary colors. So that is why you have um, your buttons colored this way. This is the primary color. You have primary contrast. Now I'll show you where to configure this thing later in the back end, so we can also like skip this thing and just go. You can install a lot of plugins. Bubble also has several plugins that you can install, but we're going to talk about this thing later. What we want to do is get building, right? Great. Now you are brought to a blank canvas like this, and this is where all the magic happens, right? So quickly I'm going to walk us through what we have over here, because for some of you it might be your first time. If you're having problems creating an account, okay, someone says my sound is very low, so let me try and bring my microphone a bit closer and see. All right. Okay, so let me check the comment section and see if there are a few things I have to address before I continue. Okay, so the one who has an issue hearing my sound, you can comment back if the sound is better, because I brought the mic closer. So let me know if the sound is better now. Right. Okay. I think we are all good in the comment section, except for Tamaya. No, Tai. What's the name? Yeah, sorry if I got your name wrong, yeah? All right, so let's proceed. So over here, we have the visual interface. That is the where we're going to do all the designs, okay? That is where what has this pencil icon, all right? So over here, we have visual elements, right? Visual elements like text, buttons, icons, links, images, shapes, etc. There are quite a lot over here, right? Quite a lot already pre-built for you. You don't need to code any of these things. You have drop downs, checkbox, input fields, blah blah blah, already pre-built for you over here. And then over here we have the workflow editor. Why? Right. So this is where we basically going to write all our logic, right? So you can add events and stuff like that. Now, what I'm going to do real quick is that I'm going to activate the new workflow editor, because this is currently the old workflow editor. So you can see that we have the beta version over here, which we could activate and try. And that is what we want to be working in, because that is what we'll be working in all our projects. So let's quickly click on this link and activate the beta workflow interface. And trust me, this is an intuitive interface. It's really, really, really simplified than the old interface. Trust me, it's a hell better, right? So there's a quick guide, but we are not going to go through the quick guide. So let me skip this, right? So basically, the new workflow interface is pretty simple. You have an action point here where you can create folders. The very first folder is an uncategorized folder. You cannot delete it. It's the default folder, right? Then I think that's the only thing you should know about the workflow editor for now. Then you have the database, right? This is where you work with. So for those of you who don't know database, the guy who commented about the sound, please comment and let me know if the sound is better now, right? So that I know if I can get closer or not. Okay, so for the people who are actually new to what database is basically where you store information, you store data. That's how you should just have it in your mind, right? For now. Great. So over here, we have something we call data types, right? Then there is already a user database created for you. What does this thing mean? You don't need to create a user database. User database is basically what allows you to create user profiles, like have a login, have logout, stuff like that. I guess you get that. Great. So you already have that pretty much set up for you. And you can create a new type. So data types are more like let me call them your tables, right? So your tables, you can create a table like a user. You can create a table like a vehicle type. You can create a table like trip. So for this particular project, we're going to create about 3 or 4 different data types to store data. So you can create a data to store information about your trip, like your trip destination, your trip pickup location, and stuff like that. I guess you get a point. Interesting. Okay, great. You said the sound is better now. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Interesting. Make sure you comment your challenges, right? If you cannot hear better, if you cannot see anything, make sure you comment your challenges so that I can attend to you. Awesome. And keep sharing the link because we are live. I don't want to really go into this thing and new people joining because you're going to get lost, actually. So make sure you are calling all those who are asleep. You are calling all your friends to join real quick, right? Let's move on. Great. Now, what you have over here is privacy. Babel is a secured platform, right? It does not trivialize your data. It does not compromise your data. So off the bat, there are certain privacy rules that have been set on the user data type already. So you have all these things. Okay, so we're not going to go deep into this in this tutorial because it's going to be extremely long, but just know that your application is safe with Babel. Then we have the app data where you basically visualize all the content of your database. So if you create any user, you're going to see it over here, the email address, the dates it was created, dates modified, and stuff like that. Then we have these things we call option sets. Okay, so we're going to use option sets later in the program. And what we are going to use them for is to store static data. So option sets basically works like a database, but just that they are used to store static data, right? I'll explain what that means later, but that's what you should know for now. Then we have the file manager. So basically, like the name says, all your files are going to be managed here. Your pictures, your PDFs, all your downloadables, right? So you can upload them here over and stuff like that. Great. And this is the design tab, right? Where you do all your customizations and your settings. So before we start this, I'm going to do a pre-setup of our design so that we can design consistently. But before that, let me just walk us through what this interface looks like. Now, what Babel has done is that for every type of element, like let's say an alert element, a search box, a button, a checkbox, a date time picker, it has already developed presets, designs for you, right? So there's a standard alert. This is how your standard alert looks like. You can come in here and customize the appearance, customize the layout, and add some conditions and stuff like that. But already there's this here for you, which is pretty cool to start with. So interesting, right? All right. So that's basically what it is for this aspect of the design. Then we have the style variables. This is where you customize your colors and stuff like that. And if you remember, when we began the quick guide, we saw something like this where we saw the primary color and I told you that we're going to come back to this. So yeah, this is it. If you want to create a new color variable, all you just have to do is click on this thing and then give it a name, give it a description, and you can create one. Yes. And then the next tab is the plugin tab, right? The plugin tab is basically where you get to add plugins. What are plugins? So plugins are basically apps that you install onto your Babel project. Any project that you're working on, right? You might need several plugins. And for this particular project we are going to work on, we're going to install a plugin for this particular project to help us do a few things. So you can think of plugins as extra add-ons, right? If you're already in the development space and you've worked with systems like, let's say, WordPress, Shopify, and all these other platforms, you would know what plugins are. They basically add extra functionality to your application. So Babel allows for plugin integration, right? So it's very interesting. So off the bat, you can see some plugins like Google Material Icon, Iconic Elements Toolbox, Chat Elements, Progress Bar, blah, 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 right? You can also search for plugins over here. There are free plugins and there are pro plugins, right? But I promise you, we're going to use all the free stuff we can use in this world to bring this project to life. So you don't have to worry about paying for any of these things, right? Interesting. If you love what I've said so far, let me see a thumbs up in the comment section, and do well to invite people to join the live, because we are learning something today, right? We are learning something today. Okay, great. So let me X out of this and basically go into the settings. Now, this is where you set up things, right? I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritties of this because it can be a bit overwhelming, but just know that this is where you do some configurations and stuff like that, right? And then the final place is your log. Here too, I will not go so much into it, but just know that this is where you get to see activities of your workload and stuff like that. Great. Interesting. Okay, so let me check the comments and see if I have any comments to attend to. Okay, great. I think we're all good in the comments. We're all good in. All right. So if you are ready to start building, let me see you comment the word build in the comment section. Comment the word build, because we are about to start with the meat and potato of our program, our project, right? Great. Nice. I see Vibe commenting build, right? Interesting. Yes. The comments are coming up. Right, great. So the very first thing that we want to do if you want to build in Babel is to basically do some configurations, okay, over here. So this is what we are going to do. Before we do any configuration, I like to state that Babel is a powerful no-code tool platform, right? And in 2025, they're going to launch their official mobile building editor, right? So if you want to build mobile applications with Babel, there is a way of doing that building that application. And that is what I'm about to show you over here. But going forward in 2025, there's going to be a whole native mobile application development kit for us to basically be able to build mobile apps way easier than we even building it now. Is this not so awesome? Very awesome. Yes, so I'll show you how we go ahead and build mobile apps using Babel real quick. So this is our interface, right? Now we are in the index page. At the top here, there's a page called index, right? So that's what we are in. And once I click in the page, it brings this editing stuff, right? And let's do a few settings over here. Because we are designing for mobile, we want to come here and specify that this is a native app, right? Now, when you do this, it's going to say you are going to use this page as a native app. you should keep a few things in mind. You need to make the size of the screen very small for mobile screens. That's what it's telling you over here. And then it's telling you not to change pages, and I explain why. When you're building mobile apps, you are not supposed to create different pages, right? So over here, this is where you can add new pages. But what we are going to do is that we are going to build everything in one screen over here in the index page. And I'll show you how we go ahead and build stuff like this using this method. It's really interesting, really, really simple. So great. So let's go ahead and then set our editor screen to be very small. So go over here and let's change this to mobile, and then let's come back here and scroll down. Yeah, let's set this thing to about 390, and let's change this from fixed to column. Right, let me explain a few things over here as well. Container layout, we no longer working in fixed, and the reason we are not working in fixed is we want to have everything flowing from top to bottom, because that is how you scroll on your phone. Everything is basically from top to bottom. You get that, right? So that is why we have this like that. So once you set up your page like this, you are ready to develop your very first screen. All right, great. Now let me show us how our very first screen should look like. So already I have pre-built the application we are about to develop over here on the side. So yes, it's over here. Let me quickly preview the very first screen, the onboarding screen. Right. So this is the onboarding screen. Basically, the very welcome screen you're going to be introduced to when you launch the application, right? Usually when you launch an application, you get to see those welcome stuff. So I'm going to show you how to like design stuff like that. And yeah. Okay, great. So I think what I'm going to do is that for most of us, you might not have the assets that I'm using. You could use your own images for now, but I guess after the tutorial, I'll make available the assets so that you can basically have the assets and use them. Right, great. So what we have over here. To build your very first onboarding screen, right, we're going to build using what we call groups. There are 3 different types of groups in Babel. We have, so if you want to see your groups, you just scroll down here and then you can see the groups. They are under a section called container or containers. So containers, like the name suggests, is going to contain your design, right? And there are about 3 or 4 types of them. We have the group container, we have the repeating group, we have the pop-up, we have floating group, and then we have group focus. It's even about 5, right? So what we want to do is let's drag a group like this into our editor. Then we can name the group as onboarding screen 1, right? So inside this group is where we are going to put a lot of elements in, right? So once you drop this group in, you want to do a few settings on the group. We want to increase the minimum height so that we have something to work with. So let's increase it to about 767 so that we have something to work with. You get to see the group expanding. Let me go into the index as well and then increase the min height to about 2000. Yes, so that we have a very long scrollable page like this. Great. And then let me come back into the group. Now there's an amazing thing over here. There is a side tab over here that you can basically see all your elements and edit them, right? So just in case you are having difficulties playing over here, you can play over here. Great. So let's look at a few settings in our group, and then proceed with it. So we have set our mean height, and then we want to set the mean width to 0. Once you set the mean width to 0, leave all the properties as it is. We are going to set the max width to infinity. That way, we are saying that we don't want to cap the max width, but we want it to go as wide as the screen. Great. Next thing we want to do is go into appearance. And then we want to set our image right in the background. So that is the first thing we want to do. We want to set our image in the background. Because over here we can see there is an image in the background, right? So we want to set this image. So you scroll down here, go into background, and you select what type. So you can select a color, you can select gradients, you can select an image, right? So I'll select image, and then I'm going to upload the image I want to connect for the background, right? So what I'm going to do is that because I'm already in this tab, I can equally just go ahead and then grab the link of the image like this, so that I don't have to upload the image again, and go here and paste the link directly into my application just like that, and voila, it's inside. Great. Most of you might not have my image. You could use a random image online if you are building along, which is cool, but at the end of this tutorial I'll drop the assets so that you could basically have the images as well and replace them. So we've done the very first thing. Now the very next thing we need to do is just do a little bit of adjustment. So we want to center the image and then leave it where it is here like that. Great. So we have our beautiful image like that. Then what is the next thing we need to do? We need to put in our text, right? So that is the next thing we are going to do for this. So we're going to drag in another container again. So we come down here and drag in another container and put it inside. Once you drag in the container, we're going to label the container. So I think the next thing is actually the skip button. So let's call it, we can call it container as well, right? So you have the container, and this is what we are going to put the skip button inside. So we can do the same thing. We want to leave the container layout as column for now. Then we want to set the mean width to 0, and we want to set a bit of a height of about 80. Great, like this, so that we have some space to basically like work in. Then let's search for a button element. We can use a search over here or just drag it. So I have like my button element over here, and you can just drag it over here. Yeah, so we're basically going to customize the button. So let's do something real quick over here in our styles, so that we don't have to like struggle when it comes to designing. So let me quickly set some of the styles I want to use. For instance, my color. There's a particular color I want to use for this project. The color code is let me pick the color code. The color code is from this project. Let's pick it up over here. Yeah. Oh, let me undo this. Okay. Let's undo this. Great. Let's pick the color code and come back to this project and paste the color code over here. Great. So we have our primary color set, and then we want to do one more thing. want to go into the button elements over here and look at something over here. When you go into the button elements, you have a custom design for your button element. So currently I'm saying the roundness of my button should be 30, and I'm using the primary color, and I want to have like a solid border around it. So that is the same thing we're going to do over here. We're going to style, go into buttons, and then we're going to say that we want the roundness to be 30. We can just specify 30. Let me scroll down. Specify 30. Then we're setting the color to like the primary color. Great. So we'll come back to this and say that we want to select the primary style for the button. Then we're going to label the button skip. All right. Then we're going into layout. Then we want to customize the button a bit, right? So first of all, what we want to do is that we want to set the mean height to about 48, like this. And we want to make sure that our button is to the right, like that. And then inside the container, we can add some padding so that everything looks great. Yes, just like that. Great. Go into appearance again and let's check our design. Okay, so let's do, it looks like our roundness didn't take effect, so let's just customize it over here like that. And we want to change the background color to white, and then we're going to change the text color to black over here. So we don't have black, so what we can do is that we can add black so that we can quickly just pick black. So let's just add a color variable and call it black and give it a description. So we're going to use this thing for our text, our headings, and stuff like that. Great. So I can come back here into the build, and once I want to select the color, I just select it over here so that I don't have to type the color code again, so I can use it anywhere. So you have the skip button like just as it is over here. Just as it is over here at the top here, like that. Great. Interesting. Now, I think our skip button is quite small over here. Okay, so we did 60-44. So let's just stick to that so that we have 60-44. I have I have 48 over here. So let's just do 44 again, and then we have 60-44. So what I'm going to do is that I can basically save this button style over here. I can basically create a new style and save it and call it my button, so that anytime I want to use this particular button, I can just quickly select it and then I don't have to redesign it again. Interesting. So we have this button style like that over here. Great. Now one more thing we want to do is go back into this container and then set the mean height to 0, and then make sure that fit width to content is checked. What does that mean? It means that it is going to fit the height to the width of the content inside. So when I take this button out, you're going to, and let me color this container and let you see what I'm talking about. If I color this container, let's say white, right? And I take this button out, you're going to realize that the container is going to shrink and be small because it's trying to fit the width to the content. And currently it has a padding of 12, 12, 12 on each corner. Padding is space inside, so that's why you have like that small white bar over there. So let me undo what I just did and then undo the color as well, and then we are back to that. So that is what fit width to content basically means, right? Great. So let's move on to putting our text. So one thing we want to do is that we want to set on the onboarding screen, we want to change the column layout to align to parent. And there are about 4 different types. Let me explain them so that as we go, I just set it, right? So I explained the fixed. Okay, I think I explained the column. I've not explained the fixed. I'll explain the fixed. So align to parent basically means that you have the flexibility to align any element at the center, the right, the left, the corner down, corner left, corner right. Right. So I'll show you what that means in action very soon. So I've set it to align to parent, and then I want to drag another group into that container over here. Right. And you realize that when I drag the group, inside the group, I have this button. So I can let the group go to the top, and you realize it's gone to the top over there. Let me color it so that we can see the movement. So let me go here and give it a color. Let's give it a color of blue, and let's just reduce it a bit by like, let's say 20%. Okay, 20%, yeah. And click in it, go back here. When I bring it down, you get to see that it's gone down. When I center it, it's in the middle. And this is because I have set the parent container to be aligned to parent. So the moment you set this container to align to parent, all the children in the container are allowed to move in all these directions, right? So that is what align to parent basically means. Interesting. So I want to also call this group container because it's going to contain other details. Right. And then basically the same thing. Let's increase the height a bit so that we can get something to work with. So let's do about 100. And yeah, I want to remove this mean width, and want to give it some padding of about 12. That is so that there is space on the edges, right? Interesting. Okay, great. And then we want to remove our color. You can just set it to none, and then there's no color. Great. Now the next thing we want to do is let's look at our app. So we have a heading, and then we have like the text over here like that. So already we have this container inside, which I've already created. Then we have another container inside, which is containing the text, and then the subtext. Now I'm going to show you how I usually design some of these things so that you can learn from the way I design it, because it can get really confusing and you ask yourself, so at what point should I use a container? At what point should I put something in a container and stuff like that? So this is how usually I'll do it, right? So once I have my first container, let me copy the text I want to type. I don't have to type it again because I don't have time. So this is what I do. I'll drag the text element and paste it inside, right? And then go ahead and then style it, right? So this is a heading text. So I want to use, so you can go ahead and customize all these things. So I'm going to use some of these presets of the bat. So I'm using heading 3. Then I can change the font color to white, obviously. Then the next thing I want to do is, yeah, basically that's all I want to do. I think heading 3 is quite big. Let me make this thing heading 4. Yeah, heading 4, 25. Color it white, and yeah. So I have my text here like that. Then the next thing I'm going to do is drop another text element just under it. And the reason it is stacking just under it is because the parent container is being set to column. And when you set it to column, over here, when you set it to column, it means things are going to be from the top to the bottom, right? From top to the bottom. Great. So let me type the next text over there, which says unlock blah 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 blah. Just, you can type any random text. If you are building live, you can type any random text over there. Great. Then we obviously going to change the font color to white, just like that, and great. Now, you realize that everything looks pretty cool, right? But we want to arrange it properly like we're supposed to do. We could leave it like that, but over here, you realize that I put this in a container here like this, right? Because it's containing several other stuffs inside. So that's like the parent container, which is containing the text, which is also in its own container. Then we have the pagination group. Then we have the next button, right? So there's a whole lot going on in this container, right? So that's what I'm going to try to do. Okay, so we have that. So the next thing we're going to do is that I want to group these texts into one container like I have over here. So just select them like that. So make sure you are selecting just the text, and then you hold on the shift key on your machine, and then you just right click on them, and then you can group elements. So you can group it under a fixed container, row container, or column, right? But I want to do the column again. Great. And then once you do that, you can label the column content or any name that is easier for you to remember. Great. Then you want to set some spacing because it looks like they are too close. So let's set a gap space of about 12. Right. So it gives it some good breathing space there like that. Then we want to set the 0. Also I want to set it to 0. Great. Just like that. Now, we want to go back into the parent container and then make sure that inside the parent, okay, not this container, this particular container, inside the parent container, we are creating more space so that we can work in. So let me do about 300. So there's more space to work in. And I want to change something real quick from the center to the down. Oh, come on. Click on our container. Good. So we brought it down. And yeah. Great. All right, so let's continue. The next thing we'll need to have is our pagination, right? Our pagination group. So we can go ahead and drop another group inside. So let's just type group, drop the group inside here, and it's going to be down, and we're going to call the group pagination. Great. Now in this pagination group, we want to have our shapes, right? So these are our shapes. So how do we design these shapes? It's really, really simple. We're going to use a shape. You just drag in the shape and then you customize the shape. So first of all, let's color the shape so that we know what we are dealing with. So let's set it to the primary color. Great. Just like that. And then we want to make sure that it's very small. So let's look at what we can do about that. We go to the layout and then we set it to about 22. You can set this to about 22. Yeah. I think 22 is quite small. It gives us a square, but we don't need a perfect square. So let's see what we are doing over here. So we have 30 and 10, right? Great. So that we have more rectangular. So we have 30. And 10. Great. So that gives us this shape that we have, right? So we already have the first shape, which is the first shape for our pagination. Then the next thing we want to do is design the pagination for the other one. So what we can do is that we can copy this same thing and just paste it. So you can just do Control C, Control D, sorry, Control C, Control V. So we paste the same shape, and what you want to do is you want to just change the width. So I think this is 10. Let me cross check. Yeah, that should be 10, 10, 10. Yeah, 10, 10. And then we want to change the color to white. So just like that, we have the first two shapes. And then what you want to do again is just copy this shape, Control C, and paste it, Control D. Right. But this is not how we want the shape to be looking, right? So what must we do? All we just have to do is that we need to use the layout, come into the layout, and then set it to row. Now row is going to make sure that everything is going from horizontal, like in a horizontal direction. So it's going to go from left to right. Great. Then you want to center it like that, right? And you want to give it a little bit of breathing space, right? So if you want to give it a little bit of breathing space, all you just have to do is apply gap spacing, and you want to apply a gap spacing of about 4 on each. Yes, just like that. Then we want to close the gap inside the main container. So we just set it to 0, 0 like that, and we're good to go. So we have our pagination pretty much designed for us. Yeah, and don't worry about the spacing. We're going to make everything look good in real time. So yeah, let everything look like they are close to each other. It's fine. Then the very last thing we want to do is have our next button. So all we're just going to do is just duplicate what we have at the top here like this. Let's just copy it and then paste it down just here like that, and then change the content inside of it. But let's do something. It's a bit difficult to work with it now, so what we can do is that we can work with it over here. Let's not call it pagination. Let's call it next button. So group next. Take away the copy. Great. Right. Then the next thing we want to do is remove everything that is inside. But before we remove it, we want to put the text inside. And then we want to go ahead and type our text, which is what? Next. And then we want to color it white. Great. So we colored our text white. And I want to make sure that it is to the right side, right? So set it to the right side, just like that. Then we go ahead and delete all these shapes that we have inside. So just right click and delete, right click and delete. Great. And we have all the shapes deleted. Interesting. So now, how do we spacing this thing up to make it look a bit cleaner, right? So all you just got to do is go into the gap spacing and add a little bit of gap spacing of about 32. And because all of them are in their respective groups, it gives the gap spacing on the group, right? It gives 32 for each of them because they have all been grouped in their own group, right? Interesting. So yeah, let's inspect what we have and see if we've done everything accurately. So over here we have our group. It's been set to align to parent like it is. Been set over here. And then, okay, so over here I have the minimum to be 600, which is cool. Great. And then we have this, which has been set to the button. And then I'm using a row gap of 48. I did 32 over here, so let's just stick to 48 because that's what I think will work best for us. Yeah. So let's do 48. Great. Let's look at the spacing inside of this is 12, like we have it. Then we have a mean height of 350. Great. Just like that. All right. So I think we are basically good to go on this. We have good spacing. And I don't know, my 48 is looking quite big over here. So I'm probably setting it on the wrong container. Let me see. Okay, this container. Let's just stick to the 32. Yeah, looks better. And let's set this to about, yeah, this is okay for now. Yeah, so basically if you're happy with the design you got, all you can do to preview the design is just hit this icon over here to preview the design. So currently what we need to do is, let me install a Chrome extension. What is the name of the extension? So over here we can preview it in the mobile screen. If you don't want to have this debugger over here, all we just have to do is make sure either we delete all these things over here, or we can just set debug to false like this. So usually I just like to set it to false like this in the browser. Okay, great. So I want to install, we can test the responsiveness using this responsive 2, right? But usually for this project, I don't know, for some reason it's just not working so well. So I'm going to install another extension called responsive. So you can install it, responsive tester, Chrome extension. And let's just install it. Just X out of that and then preview this again. Let me add this to my Chrome, because that is how I'm going to preview it in the mobile view. So once we have it installed, we can just pin it and close out of this tab, close out of this, and go back here and just click on it, and it allows you to select the screen you want to view the project in. So I basically want to view it in this mode, and let me X out of this again and then make sure I set my debug to true to false like that. Then I go ahead and select XS Max, and great, voila, we have our first screen. Interesting, our first onboarding screen. So if you want to develop the rest of the onboarding screen, basically you know that you can do that easily by duplicating the screen and just changing the images and stuff like that. Now you might want to also view it on your phone, right? So if you want to view it on your phone, this is what you need to do, right? But just for development purposes, so that we can visualize everything, that's why I'm doing it this way. So let me show you something. Go back into your editor. When you view it in your phone, because you have set mean height to be 767, depending on your phone, is either going to be longer or shorter. Okay, so what you need to do is that when you are ready to, like, you are done developing and you are ready to deploy or anything, right? What you want to do is that you want to set this thing to the lowest value possible, like let's say 600, and then you want to make sure you are unticking this, right? And the reason mine has stretched like this is because My editor is currently 2000, and there's no screen that is 2000 wide. You understand? So usually when you set it like that, it is going to fit to your screen's height, and it's going to be responsive like that. So that's what you're going to do. But I'm not going to do that now because I'm going to be increasing the height of my screen, and I'll need to adjust as I go. Do you understand? Yeah, so basically let's go back and then fit this like this. And yeah, once you do any change, you want to go back to your responsive tester and just refresh and get the latest version of your changes, just like that. Great. So that is the first screen. Let's develop the next few screens. So we will spend so much time developing the first screen so that we get to understand like some of the concepts and stuff like that. But the subsequent screens, we just have to duplicate the first screen we have and then just tweak it a bit. You understand? So that's what we're going to do right now for this other screens. So let's jump right into it. So this is onboarding screen 1. The next screen is going to be onboarding screen 2. So just right click and copy, and then right click and you paste it. Right. And then you want to go ahead and then rename this to onboarding screen 2. Then the only thing we're going to do, I'm renaming the wrong screen. Sorry, okay, that's the right screen. Let me redo it over here. So the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and change the image inside, so you can plug in another image. Let me go into my app project and select the next image, which is in the onboarding screen 2. I just go into appearance and go and copy the link, and it's an SVG image as well, so it maintains the quality. And then I go into my project, and then I want to replace the image over here to that image. And as easy as that, I just go ahead and then updated everything. And then you want to switch the pagination, right? So you can click on the first one. Since you want it to be in the middle, all you just do is come into layout and then make next, so that you have it like that. You don't have to redesign anything again. Simple. So I think we are basically through with this screen. Yeah, then we want to do the same thing. Okay, the next thing we want to do is update the text. So let's update the text. So explore. So this is more like a ride sharing app and then a food delivery app, right? But we're just going to focus on the ride sharing bit of it. So let's just copy this text and go back here. Why do I keep clicking on this screen? Let me come here. Scroll up. And then paste this. And let's copy the other one. And just paste this. Easy peasy. We're good. Then the last one, same thing, copy paste, rename, change image, and then you change the text. All right, the next thing is change this. So click this and then you can just make it last, right? Great. So just like that, we have done our, okay, so last thing, change the text. Change the last text. Great. So I think we are good to go. So we have the design. We have the design ready. Let's click to view the design that we have. Yes, so we have all of them like this. Great. But obviously, you know, when you're viewing applications like this, you're not going to see all these pictures like like this, right? So I'm going to show you how you can show one and show the next and show the next and show the next, right? But there's a whole lot we've covered over here, and before I go into that, let's do a quick recap and then let's check the comment section if we have a few comments to respond to. Yeah, I think we are all good in the comment section. The rest of the team that are yet to join, hopefully they're going to join shortly. Yes, so let's go over what we have covered so far, because we have learned a few fundamentals, right, with regards to the design. And I've walked you through containers, and currently we are working with a group container, which allows us to lay out our website, our application. So we got to see stuff like column containers, we got to see row, we got to work with align with parent. Allowing parent allows you to basically be able to set the things in various locations like that. Then we also get to know that for all our containers, basically we want to set our mean height and our mean width to 0, but you don't do that instantly. For instance, for the mean height, you want to, at times when you are starting, have space to work with. So you want to give it a few heights before you set it to 0 when you are done. Else, there will not be any space for you to work with. So we covered that as well. And then we covered how to put images, right? And then you've learned how to create buttons like these ones. Learned how to create buttons, learned how to use text, and then you've learned how to set your global colors. So you can set your primary colors, you can add other colors, right? And from the beginning, I showed you guys the design interface and stuff like that. And one more thing I mentioned that we're going to do is when you are designing for applications, you have to make sure you are designing everything in one screen, right? So we have done the onboarding and it's been exciting. It's been quite a lot, right? Quite a lot. I hope you are digesting everything because it's been quite a lot. But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, but it's pretty simple. So let's do a few more screens. Then we can bring the logic together to change a few things. So let's look at the next screen that we have. So the next screen that we have is an interesting screen, which is the registration screen. So let's learn how to design a screen like this. And I see most of you are familiar with a screen like this because you have all signed up to applications before where you want to create an account. You are given a button to either continue with your email or sign up with Google, Apple, or Facebook. So let's learn how to design something like this. If you're excited, let's jump right into it. So quickly, let's do an inspection of what is going on over here. So we have a group called group registration. There's a container inside of the group. So you can see I'm using the containers, right? Everything is in groups and in containers, right? So in this parent group, which is called the registration group, right? We have set it. Let's look at some of the properties on it. We have set it to align to parent. The fit, the mean height is 0 as always, and then the mean width is 0, and then the mean height is 600 for this particular one. And then that's basically it for that. Yeah. Then we come into the group. When you expand the group, you get to see the first thing in the group is the text, right? The first thing in the group is the text. Sorry. Then the next thing is the button. Then the next thing is another text. then we have a container inside of it, right? And let's look at what type of container do we have. We have a column container over here for this particular container, so it means everything is being stacked from what, top to down in this particular container. Great. So let's start working on this particular group. So the very first thing we want to do is we could copy and paste this group and edit it, or we could create our own group from scratch. I want us to create our own from scratch, but before then, let's increase the working space because we are out of space. And I'm going to the layout and make this thing about 4,000 so that I have more space to work with. You can equally, rather than making this 4,000, you can equally just close these things and then you have more space to work with in the editor. So you scroll up and there's nothing, right? But I like to keep it there so that you guys can see what we have worked on. That's why I'm giving myself more space to work with. Great. So let's add another group into the container. Just type group, drag it over here. Okay, so it went to the top. Let's bring it to the last. So you can say make last, and then easily just like that, it makes it last. And then we want to call this group registration. So I call it registration screen 1, like that. And then our basic settings, make sure this is 0, and then you make sure, for now let's set it to 676 because I like to have like a wide space to work with. Then let's do some thinking over here, right? This is what we want to design, right? This is what we want to design. So we know that we need to contain everything in a group, okay? This is going to be at the center of your phone. So if this is going to be at the center of your phone, what do you think this property should be? If you can comment in the comment section, it will be so exciting. So what do you think I should use? Should I use column? Should I use row? Should I use align to parent? Should I use fixed? Let's see who gets it right in the comment. Let me wait a few seconds and see if you are going to get it right. So what do you think I should use for this? Align to parent, row, column. Let's see who gets it. All right. Okay, so the answer actually is you could use either column or align to parent, right? If you thought that already in your head, great, good for you, because it means you are getting everything and I'm happy. Right, but what I want to use is I'll use align to parent because it's easier that way. Though you can use column. When you use column, you just have to make sure that you are setting the property to center and all that. But let's use align to parent because I want to show you how to use this property a lot because people don't really use it that much. Right. So I set it to align to parent so that I can put a container at the center. Right. So let me drag another container inside. Call it a group, right? Then I put it in the center, so it's already in the center, just that it is at the right, but I want to put it in the middle. Then I want to call it container, so group container. Great. Then I want to set this thing to 0, and I want to set this to about 400, like that. Great, so that I have wide space to work with. So the very first thing we have in this container is the text, then we have the button, then we have another text, and we have these groups, right? So let's design them. So let's just design our first text. Let's drag a text and just paste it inside, and let's copy the content over here quickly. Let's try and do this real quick. create your account. Let's go down here and select the fifth. No, let's select the sixth one. And let's go ahead and change the color to black. And yeah, I'm happy with this. Then the next thing, so let me also do one more thing. Let's set padding on the group. 12, 12, 12, 12. Right. Interesting. Then we can center this thing like that. Great. Then the next thing is we drag our button, because that's the next thing we want to see over here. We have a button, right? Great. Yep. And what's the text inside the button? We have continue with email. So let's just go copy the text inside, continue with email, and just paste the text over here like that. Interesting. And then what we want to do is that we want to choose the my button format that we have. So we have that, so that I can get my roundness and all that. So the next thing I just have to do is okay, no, let me not do that. Let me click into here. Let me not do that. Let me leave it on the primary like this, and edit a new style and save that style as well. So I want to set this to background of blue like that. Then I want to change this to, let's say 20. Yes. Then I want to set, I don't want to fit to content. That is going to make the button like responsive. Then I want to clear this and make this 0. I'll leave the height as 44 as it is. And yeah, I think I'm happy with this design. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and go here, and inside this I want to create a new style and say my primary button. So one thing you can do is you're not, it's not by force to be creating new button styles. You could equally edit the primary button to this particular style and just go ahead and use it, right? So great. That's how you do that. Now, why do we even have the color fainting out? Let's check. There's something messing up. Let's select the primary color. Yeah. So that's how you design your button. And I think I'm happy with my button because it's almost the same as what we have over here. I think this is 30 in roundness. Yeah, let's do 30 roundness. Let's do 30. Yeah. So I'm happy with this style. Then the next thing is another text. Then we have this, right? So let's do the next text. So you see, it's very simple. You just look at what you need to do, what property or what element, visual elements you need, and then you just drag and drop it in. So I can drag and drop, but I don't want to drag and drop. I just want to copy this and just paste it down here and change the text and say or. And obviously I want to change this to body large. And then, okay, no, let's do body, because body large is too small, it's too big. And let's change the color to black. And you can see I'm not worried about the spacing because I'll correct the spacing at the end, right? So that's how you should be designing. Don't really worry about the spacing. Just drop in your elements and use the containers to just finally group everything into one. Interesting. So yeah, that is that for this one. Then the next thing is to design these stuff, right? Great. So we have all these things here like that, and then this in a group. So what I want to do is that I want to separate this from that, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to group all these things into one. So group this, and then group this. So how I'm selecting all at once is I'm holding on to the shift and I'm just clicking on all of them, right? Then you right click on it, and then you want to go into group element into column because you want to maintain the fact that it's flowing from top to down. Once you group into the column, you can name it a container. You can give it a name, right? Great. And let's add some spacing between the elements in the container by just saying, let's say 12. Yeah, I think I'm happy with this. So everything is being grouped into one container, right? The next thing I want to do is to design this social icon buttons, right? So how I'm doing this is that I'm using a group to design it. I can use a button, right? And the reason I cannot use a button is because Babel does not allow you to insert icons into buttons. That would have been convenient, but over here I want to insert the Google image in the button over here. So I'm going to use container to design this, and this is how I'm going to design it. So it basically looks like a button, but I'm actually using a container to design it. So let me show you how I do that. So this is how I do that. So I have over here we have like a container, right, which is 30 round, has a solid border, all borders, and then the border color of a light gray color, which is CBD for, so let's copy this color code over here. Let's copy oh, I couldn't copy that. Great. All right, let's just go here and let's copy it. It's been quite stubborn. And let's just copy light gray over here. So over here, let's just copy it like that and paste it over here. Let's add a new one. Let's call it light gray. And let's see for borders. Let's paste it over there like that. Then, so let's quickly just copy for the rest. What else do I have? I have light white, which is okay. Let's just copy them as and when we need them. Let's go back here. And I'm going to drop a group in this. And then I want to design the group. So I'm going to call the group Google button. Right. And you want to set the mean to 0 and set this to about 48. Let's do 48 for now. And then you want to go into appearance, and then you want to set the roundness to 30. And you want to set the border to solid, and you want to change the color to your border color, just like that. And voila, you have this beautiful shape, right? So the next thing you want to do is you want to add some padding, right, inside of your button. So I think, what did I do for the padding over here? Let's see what I did. Let's go into this. So I did 24, 24 on the left and right padding. So let's do same 24, 24 left and right padding. So these are standard numbers you want to be trying out in your projects, right? I've tested them, so I know how it looks. That's why I'm using them. Then the next thing is I want to have my image. So it tells you that if I want to have my image, then the next thing is a text. I need to make sure that this group is actually being set to what column. But I'm not gonna set that now. I'm gonna work in this group is set to row. Sorry, I'm not gonna set that now. I'm just gonna drop my stuff. So let's drop the image. This is the first time we are using the image element. So we drop it in that big, and we're gonna call it Google IMG. And like I do, just go ahead, copy the image link and paste in my project. And I have my image. So this is so big, so you want to go back here into layout and just edit it out and make it small. So I think I did 21 or 22 or something, I'm not so sure. 21. Yeah, 21 looks a big piece later. Let's do 22. Let's do 22. Yeah, and then you want to keep aspect ratio. When you keep aspect ratio, it's going to keep like it as a square. Then you can go ahead and increase the, if you think it's quite small. Yeah, so I'm happy with 24, and it's been stuck to the top, so I want to bring it to the center by just clicking over, sorry, not that one. Great. So you want to click in the container and drop everything to the center, right? So you have set the container alignment to be in the middle, so that everything is aligned in the middle. The next thing we want to bring is text, right? And we want to copy the text, which is continue with Google, and you paste it in like that. Continue with Google, and we want to color it black. Great. So we're coloring this black, and we want to set the alignment of the group to, not the alignment, we want to set the layout to row like that. And once you set the layout to row, you want to also center it like this. And yeah, okay, I think this won't work, so let's leave it like that, and let's bring this like this, and click here, drop it down, click here, drop it down like that. Great. Now, to be able to have this guy in the middle, there are several ways by which we can go ahead and achieve that. I can go ahead and make sure that I group these two, right, and add some spacing. Or I can equally say that, okay, let's change this particular group alignment from what it is to align to parent, right? That way I can set this Google to the center like this, and the text can be on the left like that. So yeah, that's one way we can do that. Let me see if that's what I did for this one. Yeah, that's what I did. So basically, that's how we're going to design it. And once you have the first design, you know what you have to do. You just have to replicate it for the others. So you just right click, copy, and you paste. Paste. And you just change the images and the text for all of it all. So let's go ahead and copy the Apple image. You can use any Apple image of your choice as well. But at the end of the tutorial, I'm going to make sure you have access to all the assets so that you can use them. Let's get a Facebook. Great. Let's change the text. I didn't edit out this text. Interesting. So let's just do this. Let's edit it out here like this. So continue with Apple and continue with Facebook. So yeah, we have done that. Now, we don't want our buttons stacking on top of each other like that. So what we need to do is select everything, right click, and group all of them in a row container. All right, and we want to give the container a name, and we want to call it container, obviously. And we want to add some spacing of about, let's do 12 and see. Yeah, 12 is cool. Yeah, 12 is cool. Great. So now we have our design. We are happy with it, but we are not done. We need to go into the parent container, this container over here like this, and make sure that we are spacing things out a bit well, right? So let's click here and add some space. So I'm going to group and put a space of about 24 each. Let me add more. Let's do 48. Yeah, I think 48 is good. So what 48 does is that it gives a space between this container and that container. You understand? So it's putting 48 space over here, right? So I think we are good to go. Then we have this registration over here, which is aligned to parent, and then the container is at the center. Yeah, so once we are happy with our design, we can preview and see how it looks like. So let's just refresh. And yeah, that is it. Interesting, looking good. So now let's add a few logic to bring the whole thing together. Let's spice it up a bit, and yeah, we're good to go. So before we end this session, I want to make sure that I give you a holistic solution. You get to understand how to do the design, get to understand how to put in some logic here and there and all that. So yeah, let's dive right into it. So great, we have our onboarding screen and our very first login screen. And let's make it make sense, because there's no app that you need to scroll like this for, right? You need to see the screens one at a time. Okay, great. So let's do that. So in order to do that, what we need to do is, first of all, click on each of the screens. Let's go into the first screen, and let's take this element is visible on page load. We want to take it to no. When you take it to no, when I refresh, it will not be visible. So let's see how it looks. So the very first one. Yeah, so you see, it's not visible. It's the next one. But we have a big problem, right? There's a big gap over here, and we don't want that. So how do we fix that big gap? The next thing is to say collapse when hidden. So when it's hidden, you don't want to see it. You want to hide it, right? So that is collapse when hidden. So at this point, when we refresh, we're going to have this one coming to the top, and the second one is at the top, and the rest follows, right? So you want to do that for all of them. Collapse when hidden and hide. On page load, that is on page refresh, you want to hide it. Hide on page refresh, same. You want to do same for this. And we go ahead and come here and refresh. And yeah, there's nothing to work with. Our app has been destroyed and we don't have anything to work with. I'm just being hilarious. Obviously, there's something we need to do, right? So let's go back here. Once we do that, we want to make sure that we are using logic to bring the data in, right? So let's think about how we can achieve this, right? So it's very simple. There is something we call state in Babel, right? And state is a temporary way. State as in STATE, state, like United States, right? State is a fancy way of keeping data temporarily, right? So I'll show you how to use state. So on every screen, we want to set a state. and that's how we are going to control it to be visible or not visible, right? So on onboarding screen 1, we want to set a custom state. So I'm just going to set the state with the name of the screen, that's all. So let me just copy it and add a new custom state like this and call it this. And then, so like I said, states is a way of storing data, so it's going to give you database fields, right? So it's going to give you like stuff like text, number, etc. So I want to set it to text, and don't worry about the rest of them if you don't understand them. You understand as the tutorial goes. And click on create and X out of this. Wonderful. Now, once we have set the state to, we've created a state, we can use the state. Okay, so what do we want to use the state for? What do we want to see once the app is opened or refreshed, right? We want to see the very first onboarding screen. Is that not what we want to do? So you just tell yourself this is what you want to do and go into the workflow editor and then ask yourself, how do I do this, right? So once the page is refreshed, we want to see the very first onboarding screen. So let's see how we can program that. So let's create a new folder called onboarding, right? That is where all our workflows is going to be. Right. Now, we have created a folder called onboarding. Okay, sorry, that's not even a folder. That's a workflow. Let me delete it. This is where you create the folder. So let's create a folder called onboarding. Right. Let's create another folder called page load event. Page load event. So the very first logic we want to write is we are saying that when we load the page or when you open the app at first, we want to see the very first onboarding screen, right? So that's what we want to program. Okay, so where do we put that? Obviously we want to put it in the page load event. So once you click in the folder page load event, you have a workflow you're about to trigger. So there are 3 actions over here and everything is visual and easy, like English. You understand? So simple. So the first one says general. So we are saying on page load, do you want to say on page load when user is logged in? You want to take an action when user is logged out. You understand? So that's what we want to do. All right, let me take it again. This is the name of the folder and these are the action points, right? So these are some of the things you can do. You can say user is logged in, take an action. User is logged out, take an action. Now on page load or page is loaded, we want to take an action, right? So this is what we want to use. You can also say do every 5 seconds for looping events. You can say do when a particular condition is true, right? And then an unhandled error occurs, right? So we use some of these things and you get to understand how to use them. So this is what we want to use. So this says page is loaded. So what we are saying is that when the page is loaded, we want to take an action. So what action do we want to take? We want to show the very first onboarding screen. So how do we show that? So we are going to show that using state. Currently, I set the state of the onboarding screen 1. So this is what we want to say. When the page is loaded, we want to set the state. Okay. So you type state and see when you click on action, there are a lot of action points. Signing up user, logging up user, everything. You don't have to code. All these action points pretty much programmed for you. You have navigations, going to a page, refreshing page, going back to page, etc. Data, creating things in database, blah 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 blah. We're going to go into all these things later, but let's take it a step at a time. Now, what I want us to deal with is state, and a state can be found in elements, actions, states of an element. But if you don't know where it is, just simply type a state, and yeah, that's how I find my stuff. I just type it, right? So state. So we want to set the state. What state do you want to set? You want to set the onboarding screen state. So you want to type it onboarding screen 1. And because we have already created a custom state, we can see it over here like this. So what do you want to set the state to? We want to set the value to show and I'm using English words that are understandable so that we can get it. So we want to set the value to show. So what we are saying is that when the page is loaded, let us set the state that we created on the onboarding screen. Let us set it to show. That's all. We are saying that set it to show. So over here, we are saying that over here in this state, when the page is loaded, the value inside should be show. That's all we are saying. Do you understand? Great. So how does this logic make the onboarding screen show first, right? How does it work? It's not going to work by just writing this logic and refreshing. It's not going to work because yes, it must not work because you've not done one more thing. So you see, there is nothing showing. Great. Once you program this logic, you need to tell Babel that in a fancy way that let's show the onboarding screen 1. So how do you do that? You click on the onboarding screen, and because over here it is not showing on page load, you need to come and add a condition over here and say to Babel that Babel, when the state has been set to show, make sure it is visible. So that's what we are going to do over here, and this is purely English and so understandable. So how do you do it? So first of all, you want to say when, you see there is the condition when. So when what? When onboarding screen 1 states, custom states. So you see over here, there are a lot of action points over here. You have isn't clickable, blah blah blah. We'll go into some of these things, but we want to focus on onboarding screen state. When the onboarding screen state S, you see this is just English, no code, English. So S, and then you set the value, and this point you don't miss it, because if you spell it wrongly it will break, it will not work. So when the value is show like this, you want to make this element visible, and this is what will make it visible. Now make sure that the value over here, which is the show, is the same value in your condition over here, show, else it will not work. If you do SHO, make sure it's SHO, else it will not work, right? So great. So over here, when you refresh, you are going to see the onboarding screen on page load, and voila, you've written your very first logic. If you're excited, let me see some fire in the comments. Let me see some fire in the comments. Some fire in the comments. Some fire in the comments. Yeah. Great. So that's the very first logic we have built so far, and let's continue. So throughout this course of the tutorial, we are going to use the state. So if you didn't understand it by this example, don't worry. As we go, you are going to understand it. So don't worry if you didn't understand it, right? Interesting. So what we want to do next, we want to show the next screen when we click on the next button, obviously, right? So how do we do that? Let's do that real quick. So it's the same thing. We are going to create a state for it. Let's just copy the name over here. Let's create a state for it. And say, let's set a type to text. And at this point, I'm just going to go quickly. Then once I want to set my condition at this point, so once onboarding screen state is show, I want to make sure that it's visible, just like that. Then I go into my workflow editor. Then I go into the onboarding folder, and then I want to add a workflow. Sorry, I want to add a logic inside. But how do I want to do it? I want to first of all come over here. I want to go into the next and click it and set an action to the next. So I want to say add a workflow. What workflow are we going to add? We are saying when we click on the next button, we want to take an action, right? So once you click on the next button, what action do you want to take? You want to change the state, right? So let's use the state again. Let's set the state. Once you click the next button, you want to set the state of the next onboarding screen to show. That's what we want to do, right? So yeah, so let's do that. Onboarding screen, let's set the state to show. And as simple as that, we set the state to show. Great. So once you set the state to show, and then over here you have a logic that says that once this onboarding screen state is show, it's going to show, right? So let's see how it works. Let's refresh. Okay, so it's not showing. I guess we need to click over here. Great. Now it's showing, but we have a problem. Why we have two screens showing? So we need to figure a way to make this one not show when this thing is showing, right? Simple. So you see, this is how we work. You don't get everything from the start. So while you work, you refresh to see the changes, and then ask yourself, think about it, and then you proceed, right? That's how you do it. So the next thing is to make sure that we are going to hide this thing, right? So that's what we're going to do. So yeah, let's click. So how do we hide it? We want to change the state. So this is how we are going to do it. So I'm going to say, let me copy this thing again. Copy and then paste it down here like this. So this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, when I click the next text, set the onboarding screen to state to show. And then once you have done that, set the onboarding screen 1. Let's set the state to hide. Now, let me be clear over here. The word show and word hide that I'm using, they are not words that are programming the system. They are just text. I can make this thing any text. I can make this thing Java, and it will still trigger the same effect. I'm just using these words, English words, so that you can understand the concepts. You understand? So you can use Java, but it doesn't make sense to use Java, because when somebody is reading your work, they will not understand what you are doing. You understand? We are just changing the state, because the reason this thing is showing is because when you click on the next, the state is still show. So it has not gone. It is still show. So you need to be able to reset the state to a different value. That is where it will hide. That's the logic we are trying to achieve over here. So yeah, follow. Great. So we don't want to do Java, right? We want to do hide so that it is more clearer. It is clearer for people who are, interacting with this. Then let's drag this thing to the top so that it is readable, so that we can say that when we click the next button, first set the onboarding screen state, hide it, then show the second one. That's what this thing is trying to say. Great. So yeah, interesting. So we can test this thing out. Refresh. On page load, it will set the state to show the very first onboarding screen. Once you click next, it's going to hide the onboarding screen and only going to show this one. And we are programming here, and it's exciting, right? And the good part of it is we have not interacted with any form of code, no code, right? So let's proceed to the next thing. So we're going to do the same thing for the last onboarding screen quickly. So let me quickly do this one without talking so much. Set the states. Let me copy the name. X this. I'm unable to copy. Set the states. Set the states, text type, and X out of this, and want to set the condition when the onboarding screen state is set to show. Yeah, when you get this blue, it means your logic makes sense. When you get a red, it means your logic doesn't make sense. You have to correct it. we want to set it to visible. We want to go back into workflow folder, and before you go back to the workflow folder, you want to go to the next trigger text, which is this one, and add a workflow that. And then when you add a workflow, you want to group. Let's put it in the group. Let's move it to the onboarding group. Let's move the other one too into the onboarding group. And it's good to organize your work, else everything is going to look messy. So the uncategorized is going to be 0, and then onboarding is 2. Yeah. So let's go into the onboarding and select. So over here, you see, you can just easily select. So this is what I want to work with. So let me go back here and copy the workflow, because it's basically the same thing. So the first thing is to hide the previous screen, right? So that's what we're going to do. Let's hide the previous screen. Let's paste it there, hide it. So we need to edit it out, else it's not going to work. So what we want to hide, the previous screen is onboarding screen 2. So that's what we want to do. Onboarding screen 2, the state, and hide. Then let's go back here and copy the last one and come here and paste it. So you see, you get to a point where you just be copy and paste, and yeah, simple. So the screen we want to show is the onboarding screen 3 now, and the state, and set it to show. So once you do this, we are good to go. We refresh, and yeah, let's see if we have errors, right? So next, and great, we are good to go. Great. So let's quickly do the very last one. The very last one, which shows the login screen. Then we can wrap up this video or this live section. Great. So let's show this guy the registration. Let's copy this. Let's set a state. Add a condition. Set a state. Show. Make element visible. And let's click on this button or this text and add a workflow. And once we are in the workflow tab, we want to send it to the onboarding group folder, and we want to go ahead and paste. Let's go over here, copy our condition and paste it over here like this, and say we want to hide the onboarding screen 3, hide, then copy the other one, and we want to hide, sorry, we want to show the onboarding, sorry, we want to show the registration screen, not the onboarding now. So registration screen 1, the state, we want to set it to show, and voila, as simple as that, we have programmed our onboarding screen from onboarding to the registration screen. Next. Interesting. So we have this, and beautiful logic, beautiful design, and interesting stuff so far, and I'm so excited about this. I believe you've learned a whole lot, and I'm going to give us our very first assignment, which we are going to do, and it's going to help you understand the workflows and stuff like that. So over here in our application, we have the second registration screen, and this is where it's going to get interesting, and tomorrow we are going to cover some of these things and advance upon the logic and create a user and stuff like that. So this registration screen over here, you're going to basically, I'm going to send a screenshot into the group. So you're going to basically design this registration screen. So let me walk you through it. You have like a group like this. Sorry, it's in a group. Then you have like the text, you have the input fields, email, password, stuff like that. I know I didn't show you some of these things, but challenge yourself. You can do it. All these things are online. You can learn about how to create this input box and everything. It's even drag and drop. You don't even, you can do without a tutorial, right? And this back thing, we've already designed this. All you just need to do is go and copy and paste. I'm literally teaching you the assignment. Yeah. So yeah, design the screen so that when we come, it's quickly we're designing and then we're doing more of the logic stuff, right? Great. So let's spend some time in the comment sections. Let's see if there are some few questions. Let's take a few questions before we wrap up this video. I have one last thing I want to say. Yeah, so let's take a few questions in the comment sections. 5 minutes for questions. Great. Kingsley Obama, I see you. Yes, I see you. Thanks for the compliment. Shout out to Kingsley. So yeah, let's get interactive in the comment section. I see a lot of comments. I see a lot of fires. I see PZZ Gaming giving us some hands. I see Hubert giving us some fires. Yes, I see a lot of exciting comments. Yes, I see Obama reacting. Obama, I think, is that Obama? Okay, sorry, not Obama. That's Obima. So I think that's a Nigerian name, actually. Sorry, I got the name wrong, yeah? Right, so he's repping Nigeria, so he's giving us the Nigeria and a rocket. Yeah, yes. A lot of interesting content going to be dropping as we have rolled out. Okay, so yeah, stay put. I hope you are in the group because I'll be dropping. Yeah, I like the spirit of Obima. Yes, so we'll be dropping a lot of content in the group, and tomorrow we're gonna learn about a few workflows to create the users and stuff like that, registering various user types, drivers and riders and stuff like that. So tomorrow is gonna be interesting. Today is just the icebreaker, letting you understand how to design with Babel. It's pretty straightforward, and once you master how to use containers, that is it, right? So if you have questions, you can go ahead and drop the questions, and yes, I can have them. And yeah, so interesting. You can send out comments. Make sure tomorrow you invite somebody, and I'm going to make the assets available as well so that you can try in your own time. Make sure you are practicing, right? Because practice makes perfect. You don't just get there by just watching this thing. It's supposed to be hands-on, right? So do your assignments. Make sure you do your assignments as well, right? Okay, so I'm not supposed to show you this, but probably I'm going to have to just show you so that you guys, get to see what happened. So unfortunately, we had quite a number of registrations, yeah, but the referrals didn't really come, right? So over here, you can see the counts, just 1 on each, and I don't know whether you guys are excited about winning the cash prize or not, but I mean, there's a requirement you should meet, and you guys are not meeting the requirements, and I don't know whether you guys are really interested in this cash prize, so maybe I'm gonna keep my cash. Yeah, cause yeah. So over here, you literally have, and you're not telling some of them you're not telling them to use your email address, so it's basically difficult to like see. I'm trying to be transparent with the records over here. We had about 59 registrants. We have a group of about 60 something members, and I was expecting to see at least half of the group showing up for the live, but it's all good. It's gonna be, the video is gonna be up for anybody to, like, join, to watch and stuff like that. So yeah, so you can see you guys are not really pushing the referrals, right? So you could see some tried. The max is 2, right? The max is 2, right? Some literally referred using my email address, and let me show you some of them. Okay, some were just typing the name. Don't type the person's name. I don't know the name. I need the email address, right? Some is type, that's my initial, OTW. And some saw my ad on Instagram. Some use the email address, and yeah, William. Yeah, so you could see it's just 1111 count. So just for the record, I'm trying to be transparent so that you can see that, yeah, what you were supposed to do to end the cash prize, you have not done it. Even the very basic thing you could do, which is literally just follow all our accounts, which is on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. The numbers are still the same. You guys don't want us to develop this community. That's so bad. But let's not do that, right? Let's not do that, right? Interesting. Yes, so PZZ Gaming says, what is tomorrow part? Yeah, tomorrow is part 2, and yeah, tomorrow is part 2, where we'll be learning we'll be advancing upon the logic, creating users, and doing other interesting stuff. Okay, Obama, he said, please, can we invite people tomorrow? Does it count? Well, I don't know. I'm yet to think about that. Maybe out, because at this point there's no way I'm going to be able to track that stuff, because registration is closed, and yeah. So maybe in our next event we'll find a better way of tracking the registration, because at this point it's closed, and we are not accepting response. And yeah, I'm actually happy with the number I'm working with, just that I want to see enough participation. I'm not too much excited about huge numbers. I'm excited about making an impact and getting the participation. So Obima, I would rather encourage you to participate. You can invite more people, yeah, of course, that would be great. You can invite more people, that would be great. But I want to see the participation, because what is it that you don't participate? You don't learn anything out of this. You understand? That is not the whole point. That is why I try to gamify it, to make it exciting so that you can participate, right? That is the focus. I want to get you to do this, right? That is why I've given an assignment. I'm yet to see if you guys are also going to do the assignment or not. And that even tells me whether you want the cash prize or you don't want it. So yeah, I'm just trying to get you to do something. I'm just trying to get you to work. Once you put in the work, then you get a result for Christmas. But you already failed by getting the work. Yeah, so great. Yeah. Thank you as well. Yeah. Thank you as well. You're extremely welcome. Thank you for joining, Obima. Yes, you're extremely welcome. So I'll be doing a lot more of this, and I was thinking about whether I should keep this video up live or I should pull it off later. But I'll think about it. Maybe I'm going to keep it up live, yes, so that a lot of you can consume the content and get to understand how these things are done, because it's free resource. I want you to learn, and yes, you have it live. And yeah, interesting having you guys, and it's been wonderful. This is where we are bringing everything to an end, and it was fantastic having all you guys here. Make sure you do the assignment, because the assignment is to help you, right? I already know this stuff, right? So help yourself do the assignment, and I'll catch you tomorrow, same time. Have a fantastic evening, and yeah, great.